One of the hardest things for many of us to do is to come to closure in relationships that we are no longer in, personal romantic relationships that we're no longer in, or come to closure with family relationships that we might be estranged from. You know what I mean? Coming to closure can be some very difficult work, and without coming to closure in relationships, we have a tendency to not do so well in the present moment. We have a tendency to keep those things that are not serving our best interest in the present moment. In other words, if we can't come to closure and let go of the past, then we're stuck there, aren't we? Hi, I'm David Essel. I wanted to talk about this because, in my early training, when I was first going through all of this training in the world of personal growth through college and courses and everything else, there was a real popular theme back then, is that the only way you could really come to closure in an estranged relationship with a lover or a family member or a friend that you had, or a former business partner maybe that had robbed you of dollars, whatever it might have been, the only way you could come to closure is that if you could get them to be with you. In other words, that you could have this quote-unquote mature, adult, sit-down conversation, and that you could state your feelings and they could state their feelings, and you walk away into the sunset happy that you both were able to do that. Well, you know what? That's one way to do it, but there's more than one way in order to come to closure, and that's what I wanted to do this video on. So let's talk about the first way that I just mentioned. A great way to come to closure in a relationship that isn't working with a lover, we'll just say with a lover, is to sit down and say, I know this relationship, I know this marriage isn't working. I want to tell you that, here's the responsibility that I had in it. Catch this now. When I work with clients, the very first thing that I tell them about closure in a relationship is that it's not about telling your partner what an idiot they were or how they cheated on you and you have to leave and blah, blah, blah. It's about taking responsibility and sitting down and saying, I just want to come to closure on my end. It's like, take care of my side of the street. I'm not going to worry about yours. You can figure out what you might have done, but I want to tell you what I did. Now, this is true closure. You can go ahead and journal and write and work with someone like myself to tell them and to write about what an idiot your partner was and how they screwed you over and all those kind of things. But in honesty, coming to closure in a relationship where you're going to sit down with someone and end the relationship, there's no need to do that, because you've probably already done it in 1,000 different ways anyway. Either passive-aggressive behavior, you've told them that you don't appreciate who they are, or you've come right out and told them that they're an idiot for treating you in certain ways. So there's a 99% chance that you've already gone over that. To sit down and have a gripe session with someone that you're going to end a relationship with or divorce, to me, is absolutely meaningless, and most people will walk away trying to feel better about themselves by putting their partner or soon-to-be ex-partner down. It doesn't work. It never has, and it never will. So if you want to come to really true closure one-on-one with someone, and they're willing to sit down with you, and this is one way that you come to closure, they're willing to sit down, or they're willing to get on the phone with you if they live in another state or another country, go ahead and do that. But honestly, I promise you that if you're going to bring up the past, bring up what you've already discussed, tell them for the 20th time that the reason the relationship ended was because of their drinking or their drugs or their cheating or their lack of communication or whatever it might be. If you're going to go over that again, you're going to feel good for a little while, but then you're going to know that there still isn't closure. Well, how can that be closure? It can't be, in my professional opinion. In 25 years of working with people one-on-one, I've yet to see anyone who truly knows what it means to have high self-esteem walk away from a gripe session with a partner, ending the relationship by telling them what a jerk they are. I mean, it's all self-serving, and shortly thereafter, within a short period of time, you're not going to feel that great about yourself unless you're living unconsciously. And if you're living unconsciously, you're probably not watching these videos anyway, right? Sorry, that was funny to me. But you're not watching these videos anyway. So what we do is we say, come to closure, but just come to closure taking care of your side of the street. That's number one. And do it in person. And maybe even if you want to really be mature about it, go ahead and tell them the qualities that they brought to your existence. Well, that'd be pretty cool, wouldn't it? Number one. Number two, the second type of closure, and this is something that we were told never works. I'm going 25, 30 years ago in my training, that people would always say, if you're going to bring someone to closure, you've got got to make sure you're sitting there because you can't do it by yourself. Well, thank God we've evolved from that caveman philosophy. And now we're in a position where we can say you can come to closure if the person will never pick up a call from you, if they'll never answer an email from you, if they'll never ever sit down and talk to you. You can come to closure anyway. I'll tell you, I want to share a personal story here with you. I remember when I divorced, going on about 10 years ago, you know, there was a time in the beginning of the divorce that was really, really tough, unbelievably tough. And thank God I had some really cool people that I was working with back then that showed me that I could start to come to closure even without my partner's knowledge that I was going to do it. And this is the second part of it. When we come to closure by ourselves, it's all done through writing. You know, we write out all the reasons we're frustrated with our partner, et cetera, and then we write out what my role was in the dysfunction, in the derailment of the relationship. And the more we write about what my role was in that, the more we come to closure. And in doing this intense work, we can forgive the other person. Oh my Lord, that's so crucial in closure, is to forgive the person for whatever role they had and forgive ourselves for whatever role that we might have had. And trust me, we've had a big one in the dysfunction of any relationship. Well, I did all of this work, and I could tell you thousands of clients I've taken them through the same exercise that I'm sharing about my personal life here. I did all the work, and it was a couple years of doing the work, right? Because there's a lot of pain oftentimes in divorce. And then unexpectedly, I got a chance to see my former wife. And do you want to know something amazing? Because I had done all this work and closure work. And again, I'm not just talking about me as sort of patting myself on the back. I'm sharing the story because it's so important to me. I've used the same technique with tons of people who have seen the same end result. When I saw my former wife again, I could not believe how excited I was to see her. Not from the perspective of getting back together, but just from the perspective that I had let go of my resentments. Now, I didn't know if she did, and it really wasn't important to me if she had let go of resentments against me. All I know was when I saw her, and actually we ran into each other, didn't know we were going to be in the same facility on the same day, ran into each other, she called my name like in surprise, oh my God, it's David, you know, type of a thing. And I ran over to her and gave her the biggest hug in the world, you know, and really meant the words I spoke to her. I knew that closure had happened. I can't tell you how many people I've worked with that on the first session they said, I'm never going to forgive them. I'm never going to forgive them for what they did. I'm never going to forgive. And by doing the work without their partner even knowing it, when they ran into their partner, former partner, months or years later, the same experience happened to them. And I work with some of them right to this day, and they still come in shaking their head laughing, going, I never thought what you said would be true. I never thought I would think of my partner with anything other than a sour face. I never thought I could see them and actually be happy to see them. Whether they were with another partner or not, it didn't matter. Isn't that awesome? That is full closure. I often say that we know we've come to closure when we think of a person who we are estranged from, a former lover, and there is no sting in the stomach. There's no like resentment feeling. And when we see them, the same thing happens. I want that for you. So there's two types of closure. Number one, closure where you sit down and talk, number one, and you take your responsibility for the pain that you caused in the relationship. And number two, it's all done through writing. Okay, if I can help you, talkdavid.com. You know, one of my quests in this work I love relationship work because I want to see people free from their past. And closure is so important with all kinds of relationships. And you can do this with a mother and father issues or sister-brother issues, best friend issues. It doesn't matter the relationship closure that you want to find. It just matters that you do it. Contact me at talkdavid.com. Share this video. If you know people that have a lot of resentments against individuals from their past, please share this so that they can see there is a way to get closure. And then don't forget to sign up at YouTube, you know, and go ahead and let us know. Just sign up under the Super Slowdown account, and every time we put out a video, it'll come right to your YouTube account, okay? I'm David Essel. Have an awesome day.